Hello and welcome to another new episode of Learning Simplified. In this final part of UI semantic web design, we will be knowing about the UI semantic transitions. And after knowing it carefully, we will be knowing about a certain trick that we can create into our project. And it will be something like this one. Have a look into this browser. All I have done, I have just reloaded it, and now you can see that the image disappeared. Then comes this button here. I'll be clicking on this button again, and we can see that the image resurfaces up again back into its original position. On the other hand, you might notice that after the image reappears again, the button is gone and there's nothing else to do the trick again. But in the first case, all we will be looking for, we will be knowing about the transitions, and then we will be learning about this individual trick to re-emerge the image. Let's hop into the project. Now if we head back to their official website, we can see that here goes the transition part, which is being explained into their official website. So we can see that here goes the animation, the transition right over here, and there are various transitions that we can take advantage of, like this scale or this zoom, this fade up, fade down, which specifies a particular direction, transitions, fade left or fade right, or this sort of things. So all we need to know in the first place, let's head back to our text editor, and in the first place we will be needing a definite UI container, and then we will be needing an image into it. So this is the first thing that we are going to do. Let's create a container inside which we will be creating a grid, and in the next case we will be creating a row as usual. So everything is same. We have made these procedures before. In the next case, we will be making usage of a particular custom class that we had created earlier into our project. In this custom style.css, we can see that here comes the grid observer cells that we had created earlier, and we had used it into our project. So we will be making usage of it. We'll be copying this class name, and here we will be mentioning, there it goes, and inside we will be introducing an image. So in the first place we need to mention the image path. So it will be the images folder, as we had specified previously, that first comes the images, the name of the folder in which we had put into our images, and next we will be using the file name. So it will be foxbig.png, and next we will be mentioning the class, because this is an UI semantic responsive design. So we will be using the class which has been used over there. So press Ctrl S. Now if we head back to our project and reload, we can see that it is right in the place where it should have been. So this is how we have practically created this individual image right over here. This is the first thing. Now in the first place, we will be knowing about the UI transitions, which is being discussed in their official website. And all we wish to do, we wish to do this exact same animations, transitions right over here, which is been provided right over here. So in that particular case, if we head back to this example, we can see that this is the initialization which is needed to be used into our project, and we will be using this initialization of the UI transitions. So here First of all, we need to mention the class name right over here, and in the next case we will be mentioning it. Now we have made usage of this JavaScript initialization in the first place, and here in the very first place we need to define the class name which is being used to hold the image. Actually, inside which container we had placed our image, it will be the grid observer cells. So once again we will be copying this class name from here and we will be pasting it inside. This is the first place. Next, we need to define which transition will be taking place. It will be scale. So that's it. Now if we press Ctrl S and head back to our project and reload, we can see that practically the whole grid container observer cells which is being used right over here, it practically disappears. But this is not the exact same thing that we wanted. We wanted that the image only disappears, but the div element, it remains right in the place where it should have been. So that is why we will be heading back to this JavaScript initialization where we had practically made usage of it, and here we will be mentioning that the image which belongs to this individual grid observer cells div element, it will be having a transition of scale. So if we now press Ctrl S and head back to our project and reload, we can see that the image is practically back. Everything is practically back into its place, but right now the image only disappears. And on the other hand, we can see that the transition is too speedy. It is actually occurring within a very short duration of time. So if we wish to increase our duration, then here comes the next remedy.